Hello, Scorpio. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, Scorp. So it looks like for some of you, you are genuinely trying to be a better person, and not because somebody made you think that there was something wrong with you or that you even think something is wrong with you. Like, this is genuine. So from Lay Vampire, you pulled the monster within. Internal struggle, personal challenges, and wanting to improve. But what gives this its power is service from Chakra Wisdom. Now, the monster within. Changing your faults and flaws into your strengths, reshaping those so-called negative traits, using discipline every day to deal with the difficulties and frustrations. But service is saying you need to give up what you think you deserve in order to attract just what you need by being of service to others. So if you're wanting to be a better person, what better way than to do something for someone else? The quote for this says, I attract to you whatever you desire if you give up your desires. For Scorpio to give up their desires, that's pretty powerful. Now, the card at a glance says the energy here is one of manifesting through being of service. This card indicates a steadfast ability to stay the course emotionally and create something sustainable and lasting. It can also bring to light not seeing or valuing what you have. But I think that that's not the case here. For some of you, yeah, but, it's really about being genuine here. All right, Scorp, here we go. Here is your overall for the week. The Ace of Swords. Wow, man, there are a lot of people that are getting hit with the truth, I swear to God. So the Ace of Swords being the overall here, right? The truth. Knowing the truth, speaking the truth, having the truth, and absolute mental clarity. I love that about the Ace of Swords, but this could be also the aha moment, that, inspiration, new thoughts coming through, but the truth. Now, in the past, the Four of Pentacles. This one's interesting to me. In most decks, I look at this and, really what this is trying to depict is somebody who is trying to maintain their status that they've worked really hard for. There's the fear of losing something and not wanting to change because not wanting to go through the loss of what they have gained. But the whole idea of holding on too tightly to something is immediately what comes to me looking at this card. Like, I ain't giving you shit. I've had to work hard for this. You're not getting anything from me. But, that's past energy. If things are changing now because of the truth, then, hopefully that fear is not there anymore. But it makes sense though, because thinking about Scorpio and gripping onto something you want to possess, you want to own, right? Now, in the present, the Seven of Cups, this is fantasizing about things. And there's definitely, the emotional attachment to a potential outcome based on what you pick with this too. But I think for some of you, it's not willing to give anything to gain anything else right now. With the Seven of Cups, several different things you could be doing, but you're not doing them. And it's a good thing that the Ace of Swords is there now. But I'm looking at that and going, well, why? Why are you still holding on to this Four of Pentacles? It could be that you're not willing to change anything right now. You're satisfied with what little bit you do have. So why change anything? But then at the same time, fantasizing how things could be. Future conditions. Oh boy. So yeah. Not doing that anymore and being a little bit more giving here with the Six of Pentacles. Right? And one of the things that I say about this is if you feel abundant, share the wealth. If you're good emotionally, share the love, right? Now, this could definitely be about you receiving some assistance, but the equal give and take is what is important here though too. But you go from this place of I'm not giving you shit to here you go, let me help. Oh boy, your best path to follow, the Nine of Pentacles. What I love about this card is she looks like she's just fantastic. Hey girl, look at all the shit that I've got. uh, independence. Independence. But there's abundance there too. And I think that's the big thing that people miss with the Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, it's enjoying the finer things in life, obviously, here. But it's because there's success, you know? Really isn't about like looking to the future, like with the Ten of Pentacles. It's about what you have right now and what you're doing to enjoy it. And some of you move into this place where you may be a little bit more giving. And it's not a bad thing, you know, but I'm still wondering what the hell the Seven of Cups is about. Oh, okay. So, you know, I feel like something happens here and it seems so subtle. It's like, you know, with the Eight of Swords and looking at the Seven of Cups, you can't make a choice. Like, you're content to just fantasize about things, but then not really doing anything. And in both of these cards, it's like you're trapped, right? With the Eight of Swords, it's the mental trap. You know, you may feel like you're in a really difficult spot right here and like not really willing to give anymore, you know, but if you open up and you make a choice, things may change. But that depends, though, too, on what you're choosing here with the Seven of Cups. But right now, there's just no way. It's almost like you don't see it happening. You know, you can fantasize about it all you want, but then, you know, what's the point of even doing anything? Because it's just like, it's not ever going to happen, you know. Oh boy, your hopes and your fears, the Ace of Wands. Wow. You have the truth hitting you and a passionate beginning that you're hoping for here, you know, and definitely ideas, a couple of different ideas that you could be acting on, I think, but something may be holding you back. But like I said, you know, you eventually get to this place here where I think you open up a little bit more and you're a little bit more giving as far as your ideas and your passion, and, you know, and again, being of service to others. But for some reason right now, it's like, you know, I don't want to lose anything. If I decide to do this, what am I going to lose here? But then really, what does it matter? But this right here is a good indicator that I think that you're fine. You know, I mean, as far as money goes, it's almost like moving into a place of abundance, which is really good. Really good. You know, and for others, it's just, you know, acting on these new ideas, especially if they're like original and creative, right? And you have this inspiration to do something. It's like, quit fantasizing and make it reality. But I think that there's something else that's just like stopping you here, and it could just be the mental trap. And then coming out, the Three of Wands. Look at that. Not bad. Not bad, Scorpio. The Three of Wands. If you become a little bit more giving here, it's almost like you get to watch things kind of like develop in front of your eyes here, you know, and you may be looking further out ahead. Like, yeah, you know, I could do this and I could do this now. And it just like extends. But with the Three of Wands, one of the things that I've always said with this, and I compare it to the Fool, because both of them, you know, you're right on the cliff, right? With the Fool, it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's about the experience. When you're looking at the Three of Wands, you should already know what to expect here, because these are the actions that you put into play. But it looks good. And that's the thing. It's like watching everything just kind of work out and then planning ahead. All right, so now with the Page of Wands, right, look, I mean, he's so happy. He's like ready to go, right? Like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this, and it's all brand new, and I may not have a lot of experience, but what the hell? The problem, though, is the Four of Cups. If you're not in the right emotional spot here, then maybe now is not the time to start doing this. But, you know, it's one of those things where if you're watching things develop here before you take any further action, it could be that it doesn't turn out as great as you thought it was going to be. But like, I look at this and I feel like she's looking at this kid going, come on, it's not that bad, right? I mean, you know, you're just starting out here between a 3 and a 4. But then looking at the King of Swords, like, I feel like, you know, this could definitely be a person coming through that may be kind of helping you along with your ideas. You know, I'm not seeing him as a bad thing here. because, you know, I do think that this is about you and what you're willing to like share here as far as like, you know, what you're working toward with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords. Yes. But I think that there may be a part of you that's just like, man, this isn't as great as I thought it was going to be. But it's like, you know, just hang on now. Just hang on. You know, and with the King of Swords, though, too, it's like getting that wisdom and that intelligence and gaining this knowledge here and like continuing on this path. You know, I mean, clearly here you've worked really hard for the things that, you know, you have. And I understand like not wanting to take a chance or a risk here. But I'm telling you, with that Nine of Pentacles, it doesn't look bad. I just think that it may be like a slow going thing, but in the process, it's like you gain wisdom and understanding. And again, there's that give and take, right? But it's like right now, I think some of you just don't see how that's possible, you know, but I do think that that changes. So yeah, this is the one for you, but you may be having problems with him because he may be a little bit overbearing. I like the King of Pentacles. I don't like have a problem with him, you know, and for some of you, right, Earth, you have Earth in here. But, you know, looking at him in this card, he's like, you come here. And she's like, no. Like, just being a little bit too pushy, but it's not like, you know, he's bad. I can tell you that I hate the King of Swords in this deck, so that's not that bad. You know, you've met the person that you are supposed to be with, which is perfect. With this could be the one, but unfortunately here he may not be like the greatest thing. You know, but like I said, I don't think he's bad. I just think he's a little bit pushy. But I'm telling you, Scorpio, it's like whatever opportunities you have coming through here, and you may have a few, whatever it is that you decide to act on here and give a little bit to, I think you're going to reach a place of abundance. I really do. But then I also do think that, you know, that King of Swords, right? Like, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, you know, and I do think that for a lot of you, it's you gaining some wisdom and some better understanding and looking at things from a logical sense rather than the emotional garbage of the Four of Cups. I don't think that you get bored with something. I just think that if you're waiting to see how it's going to work out with the Four of Cups, it's like, man, I thought it was going to be better than this, but really it's not that bad. I mean, you're just starting out, you know, so just, right, don't get carried away. But again, you know, everything is clear to you now, though. All right, Scorp, so what I'm looking at here, the way that it like crosses is you have a couple of different options here, but, you know, I still think that these two are like the same thing. You know, besides having truth here, there's like new inspiration between the both of them, especially on the creative end. But with the Seven of Cups and then looking at the Eight of Swords, it's like you're content to just dream about it because you don't see how this can become a reality. So what's the point? And I think a lot of that is because you're carrying this feeling of, I've worked really hard for what I have, I ain't giving shit. But then something changes here and you start giving some shit. With the Six of Pentacles, I think that you open up. And I think that, you know, this clarity that comes through makes it easier for you to act on something new here. I don't think that this has to do with relationships at all. I think that this has to do with you and working on creative projects that have the potential for some financial gain here. Because this being your best path to follow, hey now, right? You look abundant, you look happy here. You know, there's a reason to believe that if you start acting on this, you will get to this place of abundance, right? Now, the problem, though, is where you come out at. Now, with the Three of Wands, I still think it's a good thing. I think you're watching and waiting and seeing how things are going to pan out here once you start acting on these new ideas. But you go into it like super excited, like, yeah, I'm going. And I have no experience, but what the hell, right? And I think with the Four of Cups here, you get to a point where it's not so much like disappointment in the fact that it really hurts your feelings, but I think you're looking at it like, this isn't as great as I thought it was going to be, you know? And she's like in the background going, it's not that bad, kid. So, like, you're going to hit like that bump in the road, you know? But there's no reason why you shouldn't continue with this because, like I said, These look like this has the potential to go a really long way. A really long way. And look at how abundant you are. I like it. Now, with the King of Swords, though, I think that, beyond somebody giving you some assistance here and maybe some clarity through the emotional garbage that you may be dealing with, this could be a situation where you just gain more knowledge because you go into this naive, not knowing and not having any experience, and then you move to the King of Swords where you've learned a lot through the experience, you have some wisdom and expertise, but you're also thinking a little bit more clearly rather than so emotionally, which is not a bad thing. I do think, though, Scorpio, that this doesn't have anything to do with relationships for me. I feel like this has to do with you and those of you who have creative ideas that have the potential, like I said, to gain some money here. It's not a bad thing at all. And yeah, you wanting to improve yourself here, but maybe giving something to somebody else. One of the things that I was taught early on is that, whatever it is that you're giving to people, it better be worth what you're taking from them. And I think that that's what this is here. And I think that at first you're like, oh, I put so much into this, and then you're not really seeing like fantastic results right off the bat. But like I said, you gain wisdom and experience through this, and there's still assistance there if needed, I feel like. Now, relationships. These readings, I tell you, usually I do like a 9-card spread when it comes to the tarot of sexual magic. And one of the things that I've learned, and I've said this, I think, in Sagittarius in my 37 years, is that our love lives are fucking complicated. Nothing is just that simple. And oh my God, if it's not showing up this week, it's one of the reasons why I try to stay away from love readings because, I don't like to create drama that's not there. But sometimes, man, there's some shit that needs to be talked about, whether it's fucking cheating, third-party situations, people being obsessed. My God. Now, this bothers me as far as singles go. I'm telling you right now, the Queen of Swords is pushing out this person because they've either done something stupid or they're just not cutting it for her. But the problem is that there's this idea that you guys are soulmates. And it may be that you need to, I want to say lighten up, but if somebody did something stupid, like I can understand why you're the Queen of Swords right now. Because I really think that this is about you more so than this being the other person. Now, for some of you, that can be the case, and you may be stuck with this feeling of, this is my soulmate. But I think for right now, for singles, it's one of those things where you're going to have to get over that idea, because as far as that goes, anybody can be your soulmate. But it sucks, though. Like, I get it. That sucks ass. Now, as far as couples go, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. So, one of the things that popped into my head was, if this is the one, are you considering something else because this person is a little bit overbearing? Possibly. But this person being the one, as far as those of you who are in a relationship, it's a good thing. And I don't see the King of Pentacles as a bad thing. I just think that he's a little pushy. Like, dude, back off, right? I'll give it to you when I want to give it to you. But Scorp, I think that you're really improving a lot about yourself right now. And I think that the focus being on your creative ideas and making the most of it is probably the best thing that you can be doing right now.